Hello everyone, Ogre27 Kane here today, and I think it's time for something completely different. Today I want to do just 10 great Nintendo Switch titles. It's going to be a new series. I just want to feature 10 great games at a time. These 10 games aren't necessarily going to be in any sort of order or any sort of pattern. They aren't necessarily my favorites or in any order of being a favorite. They're just 10 great Switch games that I think everybody should try out before it's too hard. So let's check out some of these great games and see what's going on. As considering I have 150 plus games, this series should go on for a little bit, and hopefully you find a couple of hidden gems in here, stuff that you'd like to try out or new games that you've never seen before. So let's start out now with number 10, good old Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls V. So for this entry, I decided to bring in an expert in this game, my daughter, Dovahkiin16. Dovahkiin, what do you think about this game?
What I like about this game, it's very free roam. You kind of get to do what you want instead of just having to immediately just forces you to do something. Once you finish like the main beginning quest, it just lets you go off and do whatever you want. The last thing I want to add is that my favorite quest line was the Dragonborn DLC on Solstheim. Made the game a lot more longer, a lot more funner, and just gives you like a glimpse of like another Dragonborn.
Well, thank you so much, Dovahkiin16. I really appreciate your insight. You have put a lot more time into this than I have. I thought I was a pro at this game, but you certainly have me beat. This game has so many different quest lines, so much stuff to do, and so many fun things to find. I love the combat, I enjoy the upgrade system, the world map is super interactive and fun. It's topographical in a sense that the older games weren't necessarily. On top of that, you also have a lot better graphics and animations, and of course, it's all to go on the Nintendo Switch. There's not really a better choice for an Elder Scrolls game, and the Nintendo Switch is a great space to find a game like this. I really enjoyed it. So, I think we should move on to our next one now. Number 9, Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. Now, this is an awesome collection because it not only contains Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, but you also get the free download of Assassin's Creed Liberation, a PlayStation Vita game actually. Now, first up, we have Assassin's Creed 3, and they did a pretty good job. I know a lot of people have complained about some of the performance issues on it, but they never once really bothered me. The game honestly performs much better than it did originally on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. This remastered port on the Switch is definitely an upgrade, and the game can handle a lot more going on at one time than those versions could. It's definitely a lot better in terms of the control style as well. The controls on this game feel a lot more comfortable, and they feel more akin to Assassin's Creed 4 or some of the later titles. So there's definitely a lot going on here, and it's not something you should sleep on. I really enjoyed this version of Assassin's Creed 3, and it's one of my favorite games. Let's talk a little bit about Liberation now. Well, this game was originally a PlayStation Vita game, and a really good one at that. The main campaign's a little shorter, only takes you about 20, maybe 30 hours at most to beat, but there's plenty to do, and the world's pretty big for a tiny little Vita game. This is one of the few Vita games that kept me playing for a lot longer than I expected, and one of the main reasons I enjoy that console so darn much. The nice part about all this, though, is that you get Assassin's Creed 3 on the cartridge, and Liberation is given to you as a download, so you get to choose how you want to do it. Let's do number 8 now, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, but this is also known as the Rebel Collection, and it contains Assassin's Creed Rogue on top of that. Now, you get Assassin's Creed 4 on the cartridge, and you get Assassin's Creed Rogue as the download. Rogue is considerably bigger than Liberation though, so you definitely need a lot more space to play this game. Now, Assassin's Creed 4 is one of the funnest and best games in the series, and it features a pirate, rather, if you would, going throughout the Caribbean. He is a relative of Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, and it gives you essentially some backstory on what's going on in some of the later episodes of 3. I really enjoy this game because it's not the same kind of game. It is definitely one that is just more about the exploration and having fun in the world itself. The game has a massive world, as you can see right here, and there's so much to explore. Yes, the storyline is intriguing and it has its own little merits to it, but it's not the best part. So this game's unique out of the old ones. Let's talk about Rogue now. Now, I'll be completely honest, I haven't really played much of Rogue. Rogue seems like a pretty fun game, but it's definitely taken a lot of what made Assassin's Creed 4 fun, and it tried to build on that a little bit. It has a little bit deeper narrative that kind of twists down a different path, but that doesn't take anything away from the free roam and the parkour and the exploration of the game. So I definitely think it's worth a try, and considering you get it for free with one of the best Assassin's Creeds of all time makes it worth it. Let's do number 7 now, Eastward. Well, I don't really know what to say about this game. This is one of the strangest RPGs I've ever played. It has a really good story, but it's a really twisted story, and it takes a lot to understand. I do enjoy the combat in this game, and it has a pretty fun little upgrade system on top of that. As you can see here, all the cutscenes are hand-drawn and have an amazing animation and art style, which makes the game a lot more lively and fun. But it takes a lot to put your mind through the story and wrap around all the concepts they're trying to introduce. The story has a bit of a Groundhog's Day kind of aesthetic to it, where you repeat a lot of events, and little things change as you do, but they all kind of add up to make a pretty good, fun, and unique story. On top of that, the characters are all fun and lively too, and you enjoy them. The main character that you play as, John, doesn't really say much throughout the whole story, but he plays his part well, almost like the Link of the game. All of the robots that you see in this game too have their own little unique aesthetic too, and they don't necessarily follow the given laws of most robotic creatures in most worlds. So it will throw you off. It's not what you expect from this kind of game. Eventually though, I would like to completely finish this game 100% and come back and give it a full review on the channel, because I do feel this game's a hidden gem. So let's do number 6 now. Well, this is the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection from Konami, and I've got my special guest here doing this one with me, and this is Froggo14. Say hi, Froggo14, and give some thoughts on this game.
Hello. I think this game is really fun. We've played almost every game in this game. I like the beat 'em ups, and I enjoy playing them with my dad. I really love all of them, and I just can't pick a favorite one. You should really go check out the review we did of this originally a while back.
Well, thank you for all your insight there, Froggo. I really appreciate playing these games and having a lot of fun with you. You're definitely one that makes this a lot more interesting. I played a lot of these games growing up myself, and I enjoyed a lot of them with my siblings, but being able to enjoy them with my kids makes it all the more fun. And on top of that, they're great games, so you should definitely invest in this and go check these games out. I'm glad Konami brought them back to us and made a great job doing these, up-resing these, and giving us good ports. They include a lot of cool stuff. Now, as I previously stated, there are 13 plus games on this, included with tons of different things like artwork and sounds and music, and on top of that you got a 4-player simultaneous on some games, and there's a lot of different tournament fighters and different arcade games, NES games, and as you're seeing here, both Hyperstone Heist from the Sega Genesis and the Ninja Turtles in Time from the Super Nintendo. So me and my daughter like to go back and forth on those two games and figure them out. Well, now I'm going to do number 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And once again, I have Froggo14 with me, sharing a few thoughts. Froggo, tell us a quick thing about this game.
This is much higher quality than the other ones, and I'm not saying I'm picking favorites, but I am picking favorites. We will do a review of this very soon, though.
It's definitely your favorite one, huh?
Yes.
I would say so. Mine too. Now, with this one being a newer game, it has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. And on top of having the great beat 'em up combat and the great multiplayer aspects and everything else to it, This game has a lot of new moves, and a lot of new cutscenes, a great world map that illustrates itself much like the old cartoon used to. If you enjoyed Saturday morning cartoons and played a lot of Ninja Turtles back in the day, this game will bring you back. It is such a great nostalgia fest, and then on top of that, it's a fantastic game. And I guess it's getting some extra DLC, I'm not totally sure about that. One other thing that I have to appreciate about this is that the physical version comes with a full color instruction manual. And it's really well done too. It has characters and controls and of course your warranty information and everything like that. But it's cool to see a game harken back to those great old days when we used to get all kinds of goodies with a physical version. And honestly, I love it when this still happens today. Keep giving me the physicals and all the goodies. Number 4 now. Flashback. Now the version that I grew up with was the one on the Sega Genesis. And apparently this is copied and modeled off of the Super Nintendo one. I didn't know that there was a difference or a different version back then, and it's cool to see all the differences now. It's a great game though, I don't mind any of it, and it's awesome to have all the different cool changes with it. The game is updated and upgraded as well. It still has kind of the janky old frame rate and movements, but it certainly is upgraded to the 1080p aesthetic and has a pretty stable frame rate now in-game itself. The combat too is pretty crazy. It's one of a kind. It has a animation heavy model, I'll say, but it's still pretty fun to play. Now at first the combat is really difficult to get used to because it doesn't do what you're expecting it to do in a fast-paced, fast action, fast reactive type game. Nope, this game is more of like puzzle setting with how you use your animations to do things. Each thing has its own set of timing, essentially, and a cooldown to it, rather, to where you have to actually think about things as you're doing them. It's pretty unique. There are a few other games that do this, that are in the same vein, same genre, I should say, but this game kind of made it popular for me. This is definitely one of my favorite old games, and it's good to have this old retro game come back. Alright, let's hit the next one, number 3 now, Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. Alright, well this game is a strategy tactic RPG, but it's kind of different in the sense that it doesn't have a very static story. There are 3 separate campaigns and a sandbox mode, and the sandbox mode honestly has the majority of what you can actually do and accomplish in the game. So in a sense, the campaigns themselves just offer you to teach you how to play the game. But once you figure it out, you'll definitely find the fulfillment in the sandbox mode. Now that doesn't say anything bad about it by any means, way, shape, or form. The game looks absolutely beautiful, and the game does its best to show a lot of detail with the world around you. You really do feel like you own these territories in this area. That being said, the animations are still kind of a little janky, and you can tell this was probably put together on a fairly simple engine. Now, I do love the combat in this game. It is a traditional turn-based strategy, just like any other one you'd find out there, but it's based on actual military movements and military units, in a sense, to where you have units that have unit strength and numbers to them, so as they dwindle, they grow weaker, or if they have certain talents, they grow stronger. So I recommend checking it out. Let's do number 2 now, King's Bounty 2 for the Nintendo Switch. And this game is one of my favorite tactical turn-based RPGs on the Switch. I have shown this game off before, a long time ago at the beginning of my channel, and I really need to do an update on it, because this game is a lot of fun. I absolutely adore all the different unit types and all the different enemy types. All the different things that you can do in this world too, as far as the story goes, makes it really engaging. It's really janky, and the frame rate is not very steady, but you don't need something like that in a turn-based strategy RPG, excuse me. So it lends itself to its own problems and its own glitches, and it's still fun. It's very much akin to what you'd find with the love and joy behind a Bethesda game. Now, I have been told that there are other versions and better versions of the King's Bounty games on PC, and eventually when I get a PC I'd like to try them out, but until then, I'm super happy that they managed to get this onto the Switch. It's kind of an impossible port in my opinion, not really something I expected of the studio, but I'm happy it made it here. If you like military, strategy, tactic, turn-based, that kind of game, you can't go wrong with it. The enemy types are all pretty unique and pretty fun to play as, and you have different magics as well. So let's do number 1 now, Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. Now, I'm pretty new to the Warhammer universe. I've only recently been introduced to it by a good friend of mine, shoutouts to Joe. He's taught me a lot about this, but there's still a lot I don't know. This game takes place under the Mechanicus storyline, where it's a bunch of different mages essentially, that have different connections to mechanical or machine type robotic entities. The story is still just unfolding itself, and I'm very much learning as I go. I'm only a few missions into it, but this game has surprised me a lot, and it's turned out to be a lot of fun. I am familiar with some of the other Warhammer games, and I do enjoy Space Wolf, which has really grown on me a lot. It's another tactical turn-based RPG for the Switch. So if you like the sci-fi aesthetic, you can't go wrong, and these games do a really good job. Well, the last thing I want to mention in this video is there's a special shout out to Assassin's Creed 2 Ezio Collection. That game would not let me capture for some reason, so I'll find a way to squeeze that one into a future video. If you enjoyed this new style of video in this new format and are excited and want to see any certain games, just reach out to me in my comments section. Thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane, signing out.